Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN Debrief. It's our first debrief episode of the 2025 season, episode 141. It's Wednesday, January the 15th. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole. The event we'll be diving into today, the opening rounds of the Superkarts USA Winter Series for 2025. David and I were down trackside at the Orlando Kart Center in Orlando, Florida this past weekend. Got things underway. Of course, we'll go all the way through everything that happened down there at Orlando. Today's show presented by Parolin USA. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products. The brand is rich in history and success, dating back to the early 1990s throughout Europe. Today, Parolin is among the winningest brands in the USA and around the world. Carters can head to ParolinUSA.com and their website, where the entire chassis line and parts are available to you, with shipping available across North America within 48 hours. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. All right, David Cole, we go from frozen tundra to kind of warm, kind of cool Florida, and then back north again. All told, though, a pretty awesome weekend down in Orlando.
Yeah, it was a bit different than what we were used to being down in Homestead, Florida. Obviously
3 hours south, right?
Yeah, it's 3 hours south, so different type of weather. We're in central Florida rather than being on the eastern coast of Florida.
Yep.
The temperatures were a little bit cooler than I think we're used to, but I think we probably escaped more rain this weekend than we typically would. So I think that's a positive. But yeah, again, it's just great to be back starting a new season.
Exactly that. January 10, 11, and 12th was the date of the event. Orlando Kart Center, as we said, was the home for this race, and actually will be the home for many national teams and drivers over the next 6 weeks with both the Florida Winter Tour and the Rotax Winter Trophy happening at that track in succession. So teams essentially setting up base camp for a month and a half down there. This past weekend, the first two rounds 1 and 2 of the 4-round Superkarts USA Winter Series Championship. And it's surprising. It's kind of weird that it's actually the 8th season of this championship. Started all the way back in 2018. SCUSA, of course, the Superkarts USA organization itself, first had its first winter tour, which now is really the Florida Winter Tour in terms of the way the ownership's rolled, back in 1999. 98, 99 is when that thing first started. But David, 8th season for the championship. So this thing really has solidified into their, spring training, if you will.
Yeah, and this is only the third different location over those 8 years or 7 previous years. They did go to Ocala for one weekend in the opening year in 2018, but basically called AMR Motorplex home for 7 straight years. So that was kind of the change of it, as well as getting used to a new location. And certainly, it brought on the numbers, that's for sure.
And we'll get to the numbers in a second. Let's just touch a little bit more on kind of the weather, set the stage for what we had throughout the weekend there. The days leading up, everybody was getting set up. We didn't arrive to the track until Friday morning, both David and I getting there on Thursday. But everybody told us it was quite cold throughout the week, 40s in the morning. We actually got up to, I think, 70 degrees in a sunny Friday. It was beautiful. And then, as we know, we were kind of all expecting it to come. Rain happened overnight. It was wet and windy in the morning, like 40 degrees. Eventually, we made the transition in one of the qualifying sessions, Pro X30, actually back to the dry tires. But for the most part, it was kind of cold. It was, 40 degrees right on kind of thing when we got to the racetrack. Eventually got up to, I want to say, 65 on Saturday, and then 60 was the highest in terms of Sunday. Yeah, Sunday had sun, but it was still pretty chilly all around. Again, it was we had the jackets on, gloves. We had I had my toque on for a bit. It was, for a while, it was cold.
Well, that's the difference between Saturday and Sunday, was the wind and the sun, because Sunday felt better than Saturday, even though you said it was warmer temperature wise. But Sunday certainly felt better, walking around and being outside. You're stuck in a corner booth, so you can't really do anything with that. But yeah, it was a chilly start, but warmed up really well. And the sun was out all day long, so it was perfect for racing conditions all day long.
The racing was good. The track always races really well. So a lot of awesome storylines that we'll touch through. We get into the race report. But Dave, the true story, I guess the overlying story, comes in our By the Numbers segment, because this is essentially a record, the largest Superkarts USA event outside the SCUSA Super Nationals. last year, 285 entries here at the opening round of the Winter Series down in Homestead. David, 316 entries, an absolutely massive group of drivers to start off 2025.
It is. It's a big number. It's become a big international event. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Welcoming drivers from all different places around the world. So it's not just, a US based program. It certainly is an international event, 2 months outside of, one of the biggest events in the globe, being the Super Nationals. So a lot of different drivers who weren't in Vegas, who come to, Florida to compete for maybe a special event. We were told, I forgot which country it was, but it's kind of like their holiday week for a lot of people. So it's a great time for them to come to the US and get in some amazing karting against a lot of fierce competition, because that's, the numbers are one thing, but the competition level is certainly there.
Yeah, guys, all but one category increasing. Micro and mini up, of course, 44 to 45 in micro. Both those categories essentially locked into the one group, essentially getting over 40, selling out. Micro at 45, mini at 41. X30 Junior +6 from last year up to 37, one of the bigger X30 Junior fields we've seen outside the Super Nats, if not the biggest one. Same goes for the Pro X30 when we get there, a full field of 44 in Pro X30. 65 in total, David, and KA100 Junior. 65 drivers, a little bit different approach as well in terms of no LCQ, drivers going straight through from their pre-final heat race, Flight A and Flight B. You had to finish in the top 22 in your pre-final to go to the final, but 65 in total, just a ton of junior and cadet drivers.
Yeah, that's partly due to time constraints. We didn't get done Saturday because of some delays till 7 o'clock, maybe 7:30.
Yeah.
We got done, and so that was a long day. That's why they did the format with the 2 pre-finals and then a B main, where those who don't transfer in, they still get a 20-lap race to compete in, rather than just sending them home for the day. So again, that's good, but they did have to cut laps on Sunday because of how long the day went on Sunday, which certainly helped us get done on time on Saturday at 6 o'clock, I believe, as they scheduled. So that worked out well. So again, with the rain on Saturday, it certainly, delayed things a little bit. Had a couple of red flags as well, but the format, it seemed to work out well for KA100 Junior. And then it helped out in Pro X30 because a lot of drivers who were going to race KA Senior weren't able to get into the field because it was sold out. So they moved over to Pro X30, which, boosted the numbers there, but certainly made for kind of half the field pro, half the field kind of, you're in the class.
40, again, selling out X30, K Senior, as David had said, at 46, 44 for Pro X30. Master Shifter was 5 on Saturday, just the 2 on Sunday, as 3 drivers selected to only run the one day. So that class is just still not outside Supernats. We're not seeing a lot of Master Shifter guys come out to play. We do have, when we get to maybe Newcastle at the end of the year, 18 total in the Pro Shifter category, which was great to see. Again, the category, as you know, picking up. The whole KZ program has kind of locked things in nicely. So 18 total in the Pro Shifter class. David, the only class that didn't actually grow from last year was KA100 Master, but still they had 15 drivers in that class.
Yeah, it was good. You had some drivers that were making their first start in the series, so I think that was the positive of it. Drivers who are looking to kick off the year, because a majority of the time, at least the last couple of years, this class has been at Homestead. It was a lot of local racers, where this was kind of more of a major field in terms of drivers from all different places.
I agree. Yeah, drivers coming up from up north, and indeed that was pretty solid. In the end, folks, as I said, by the numbers, 316 entries up from 285 the year before, so 31 more entries, over 10% increase moving into 2025. And again, we'll see how this plays out when we get back to Orlando for rounds 3 and 4 in the first week of February. Obviously, we normally see a little bit of a drop off. We'll see what happens when it's a month later. We'll see if drivers come back and we're potentially able to top that 300 mark again. We get to the first mark. That's our first commercial break here in this edition of the EKN Debrief. When we get back, we'll jump into the paddock pass. Lots going on to kick off the 2025 season. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the rookie, junior, senior, heavy, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the season include the Ignite Majors that begin with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week, running in both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, featuring 5 iconic facilities. Local club programs have also been established in states all across the country, Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite Karting program. Be part of fast, fun, and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Welcome back to episode number 141 of the EKN Debrief, our first debrief race report podcast of 2025. Rob Howden here alongside David Cole. Jumping now into the paddock pass presented by Sodi Racing USA. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is Sodikart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to its new exclusive importer, the karting distribution led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Sodikart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about the Sodikart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodikart, the world leader in the karting industry. David, a bunch of stuff for us to jump on here. We had a lot of it in the Paddock Insider throughout the weekend as well. Of course, you and I getting some intel from the paddock, but lots going on. First and foremost, let's just jump into the big one. And that was the off-season news that we were going to see or at least say goodbye to Race Hero. They shut down the Race Hero program, which was such a big part of live timing the app, everything for Superkarts USA. So really everybody coming in with a kind of a new approach to communication to start the season.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. It's more organizational wise of how do we get our information out to the competitors, because that's always kind of been the situation over the last couple of years. It's become more digital than it has been paper and on different message boards in the paddock. So with Race Hero gone, that's where a lot of the communication was to a lot of the competitors for a lot of different organizations, including Superkarts USA, who had their own app. They had their own Superkarts USA app to be able to go on and watch the live timing through Race Hero. So the transition moved over to Speed Hive, which is the MyLapse-based live timing software. So mixed reviews on that. I'll leave it at that. But that's where you're getting your live timing. Unfortunately, you're not able to send information or updates or any type of communication to competitors. So Superkarts USA using the WhatsApp, or I can't say it.
The What's Up app.
Yeah. What's up with that?
What's that?
I love that
What's
skit.
that?
That was a pretty good. The WhatsApp that is readily used a lot by the international community because it's a quick, easy way to communicate. And they actually have a community channel now, the Superkarts USA community channel, where they are sending out basically the bulletins to everybody who follows. So you don't even have to be trackside, and you get all these updates. You'll get all the penalties, all the communications through that WhatsApp notification program. And it's cool. It was great to see. Got updates throughout the weekend, all weekend long. If you have it on your notifications, it'll pop right up. You don't even have to open the app up. It'll show you. So yeah, it's a new move. We'll see what SCUSA can come up with after that. We'll see. They've always been trying to expand, and we'll see if they change anything or any formats after that opening weekend.
No doubt. A little bit of industry news, of course. Before we came to the event, we kind of got the layout with the new Parallel USA, Parallel Motorsport USA program, David. And really, they made their official debut. Everybody in position for that at Orlando.
Yeah, that's just something we didn't get to talk about on our Paddock Insider. So putting it here in our show, and Parallel Motorsport USA, it's a new operation through the cooperation of Parallel Factory Race Team in Italy and Parallel USA here in the United States. So I want to say they had at least 12 drivers under the tent. It's taken over the old Super Tune USA hauler. For right now, they're going to work on getting the Parallel Motorsport USA branding all over the tent. But it was all Parallel under that tent this weekend, with a lot of cadet drivers and junior drivers for the team.
Dave, when we were talking about the size of the event, you mentioned the fact a lot of drivers are coming in from not the USA. It's become a really international field. Give me a little breakdown of how international it actually was.
Yeah, just wanted to look at actually the number of nations that were represented. We got up to 23 nations represented. Now, some of them are people who do live in the U.S., but are from have a different nationality than the United States. So again, 23. So not all these competitors came from these countries traveling. They could be, some of them are still here in the U.S., but still, it's crazy to see a lot of South American countries in the mix, but a lot of European countries as well too. You had Germany represented, France, United Kingdom, of course, with a lot of drivers from there. Poland obviously represented as well too. But we had Australia, drivers from Australia make their way up. Only a couple. I think there were 3 drivers from there that made it. In Brazil, obviously a big popular destination is Florida during the winter time, and of course Canada as well too. So again,
you got on your list, you got Curacao, Argentina, Puerto Rico, El Salvador, Venezuela. There's as you said, a number of drivers have come up to be part of the action, whether they're actually if they live in the U.S. now, but just if you're flying the flags for where people call home, where they were born, 23 nations in total.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see. Yeah, as we said, a lot of drivers who born in these countries, some are residing here in the United States, or could be residing in a different country and still come here. So again, a lot of international flavor, definitely for sure, for the Superkarts USA Winter Series. I want to say we had, what'd they say? I think 36 countries represented for the Super Nationals. So not far off that, only 13 less. So.
Let's touch a little bit in this particular edition of the Paddock Pass, brought to you by Sodi Racing USA, with the fact that the track has been making an evolution, if you will, the way the track's designed up, some new fencing, new barriers. I know Xander was talking a bit about it on the broadcast, kind of the CIK deal where the fencing is hung in front of a post, so the post itself doesn't work. It doesn't touch the fence, but there's a bunch that's been going on with the racetrack.
Yeah, it's I guess you could say they're CIK fencing because of the way they're constructed. I didn't really kind of get a feel for the facility or the new upgrades until I got on track, doing photography. But I didn't even notice they had put some temporary barriers at certain apexes because, as we've come to know about Orlando, there's a lot of curbs getting used in Orlando, and they kind of took that away in a lot of different spots where drivers were, putting over half the cart over the curb. That wasn't allowed this weekend because they had barriers right up to the apex and a lot of these curbs, even drivers hitting the barriers at the apex because they're cutting the corner too close. So that was interesting to see. So that did alleviate probably some of the smashing of chassis, shall we say. There's still the one couple of jumps there in the S's coming into the final corner. Not severely as bad, but still that right one does catch a lot of good air and good
the 11-12 combination.
Yeah. So, but really it was the fencing. There was fencing on the outside of that. So turn 13, kind of in the middle of the racetrack. There's some extra fencing along turn 4, which is right up next to where all the garages are. I mean, it's a very small, probably about 10-foot difference or 10-foot gap between the actual racing surface and the garages. So they did put basically that's almost like a catch fence without poles. And I like that design a lot better because there's no poles involved there.
Well, the poles are there, but it's like
no. Turn 4.
That's where where our booth is, right in front of the booth.
Yes, right underneath the booth. Yeah, so there's actually no poles.
I know, but the posts are there, but they're a foot back. So the post goes up.
No.
I got pictures of it. The one right in front of me, the post goes up, the bar goes straight out, and then the fence goes straight down, and the fence is bolted into the ground there. That's why
there's no pole. There's no poles. They have big, thick wiring holding the fence up there. Now, when you go into turn 13, yes, there are poles there.
Okay.
I
have photos of it, so I have to go back and look.
I walk by it all day, Rob. Anyway.
Okay, well, it's right in front of what
I like that system a lot better than the actual poles because for me, I see poles as a dangerous situation for drivers hitting them. Not so much the cart itself, but the driver themselves. We've seen it different places. And that's the thing too, is I think there needs to be a lot more padding around different poles that are surrounding racetracks as well too. But that's a whole nother story. I won't get into that, but they're looking to make advances on trying to contain it. We did see a tire go off. I think the tire actually went over the fencing. So again, it's still very tough to keep everything completely safe. But they are making some changes there at Orlando.
Yeah, I'm just looking for a couple of photos. The one that I saw, I can see it on the back straightaway, the ones I'm talking about. So I'll send those over to you later on so we can have a discussion about it offline. But yeah, indeed, they are making some adjustments, as you have said. And again, there's lots more stuff we have on the Paddock Insider, folks, from the weekend itself. If you didn't get a chance to look at our coverage, head to the homepage of eKarting News and look for that Paddock Insider segment that David put a lot of information on, stuff that was kind of going throughout the paddock. A lot of it was industry focused, driver focused. So have a look at that on the website. When we get back after this break, we're going to jump in to the race report. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is Superkarts. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to the new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Superkarts is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. The Sodi Racing USA by PK Sports is the official race team, producing many victories in different levels across the board. And the new Pro Race Academy is designed to cater to the next generation of motor racing, helping boys and girls aiming to make their mark. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about Sodi kart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Superkarts, the world leader in the karting industry. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry, and with over 30 years of combined karting experience, we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at franklinkart.com, where all of our products are just a mouse click away. We continue to add to our growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, the ceramic product line, driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, smoker performance sprockets, OTK products, AIM, MG tires, and of course, the championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. Be sure to stop by the Franklin trailer during the United States Pro Kart Series events as the official trackside vendor. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Welcome back to episode 141 of the EKN Debrief, the Superkarts USA Winter Series opener from Orlando Kart Center, the focus of today's show. The race report, time to jump into that right now, brought to you by Factory Karts. Made in the USA. It's not just a statement, it's the mission at Factory Karts of America. Led by five-time Super Nationals champion Billy Musgrave, Factory Karts manufactures their frames completely in-house at their Phoenix, Arizona facility. Built and designed from the ground up specifically for the American karting market, Factory Karts brings new innovations and solutions that are long overdue. No other karting manufacturer stands behind their product as Factory Karts does, providing a 2-year warranty on all their frames. Learn more by visiting factorykarts.com or email info@factorykarts.com. All right, folks, diving into 2025. If you're new to our podcast, here's how we roll things out for the race report. I'll lay out the headline. David will follow in with some information we'll discuss from there. Pro X30 kicking things off, presented by Rawlson Performance Group. And here's the headline. Turney conquers Orlando.
It was not a sweep for Joe Turney, the British driver who won 2 times at last year's Super Nationals, but it was a 2-win weekend for the Kart Republic driver racing under the new Jay Howard driver development tent. Jacob Kolar was the top qualifier in what was a unique qualifying session because that was the time that it was a gamble to go to dry tires, and the gamble paid off for Kolar. Well, I want to say it was probably about a second and a half quicker than the drivers who were on the wet tires, able to set a 56.996 lap time to be able to secure the pole position for
and David, I'll say this, it caught Xander and I both off guard. I was not ready for somebody to go to dries. Based on what we saw on the track, it just didn't seem like it was the right time at all.
Again, because there was no sun, it was very tough to see a dry line forming. And, you got to figure it was going to be a Florida driver who threw out the gamble. I would have thought it would have been Norberg, but I think Norberg kind of went, hey, I got to stay with what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Kolar, nothing else to lose, might as well go for it. And the gamble paid off. So he was able to lead the group to the green flag in the pre-final. Unfortunately got shuffled back outside the top 5 as it was an international drivers up at the front featuring Joe Turney, Olin Galley on the CRG, and Caden McQueen, the British driver on the Energy Corsa America's entry, taking the top 3 positions. So this was kind of a unique race because you had drivers who were quicker on the wet tires kind of slipping back, and drivers who didn't quite get the qualifying lap they wanted to on wet tires moving up in the pre-finals. So that included drivers like Austin Garrison and Ryan Norberg, who are locals there. And we're still outside the top 5 at the end of the pre-finals. So quite an interesting scenario going into the main event where we were able to see Joe Turney and Olin Galley kind of break away from the field. Eventually, Norberg got up into the 3rd position, ran down the top 2. First got by Galley as Norberg and Turney were able to kind of pull away. Norberg ended up taking the lead until lap 13 when Turney went back to the point and held off Norberg. It was kind of a good chess match between the two, trying to size each other up. To me, it looked like Norberg kind of just used up his tires a little bit too much compared to Turney over the pre-final and final, and just didn't quite have enough for him to be able to really put on the pressure. But Turney was able to take the victory ahead of Norberg, where Norberg, unfortunately, got a push back bumper penalty, a 3-second one. So that took the second place result and moved him back into the third spot, where it could have been Austin or Olin Galley taking the spot. Unfortunately, he was disqualified for a spark plug issue. So that promoted Austin Garrison up into the second spot in the Speed Concepts Racing CS55 entry, a late entry as well. Moving Norberg up into the third spot. So that was your podium: Turney, Garrison, Norberg. And then a great run by Colin Lloyd, who another driver moving over from K Senior to X30. A great drive for him. So put 2 Speed Concept Racing entries in the top 5, along with Canadian Jensen Burnett making his first senior start in the 2025 season.
And Dave, we had a chance to talk to Colin Lloyd at the end of the end of Sunday. He was actually regging on his own stuff. He put together the funding to be able to come and do it himself. It was a kind of a cool deal for him to kind of make, again, his kind of pro X30 debut.
Yeah, it certainly was. And the weekend was just solid for him as it continued on into Sunday, where, again, he was one of the top contenders all day long. Turney came back with the fast time in qualifying on Sunday with a 52.908 to lead the way. This time, however, in the pre-final, was Norberg taking the advantage over Turney with Colin Lloyd right there in the third position. A 5-driver pack formed at the front of the field in the main event, led by Norberg and Turney. They were able to kind of break away towards the midpoint of the race. Until the end of the race, when they really started fighting for the top position. Norberg was actually leading at the white flag, ran a pretty good defensive line, kind of made a little bit of a mistake, I think, coming out of the tight hairpin after the long straightaway. Gave Turney a great run up to the rear bumper of Norberg as they went into the S's and the final turn 13. Turney pulled off a great over and under. It just seemed like he had way more power all weekend long, actually, coming out of 13. Even in Saturday's races, it looked like that was just the spot to be really fast at. And that's where he was. Pulled up right alongside Norberg, was able to pass him before they got to the kink, and essentially celebrated another victory. So 2 for 2 on the year for Joe Turney, taking the victory on Sunday.
In the 2 post-race interviews, Turney had said pretty much on the last lap he'd given it up. He didn't think it was going to happen. He was going to push. He wasn't planning on, nor did he make a move to potentially go by the inside of turn number 10. He wasn't really close enough on the right-hand hairpin. Norberg, surprisingly, actually defended there. So he didn't take the full entry through turn number 10, gave up a little bit of the gap that he had. And then Ryan told him straight up, he just took too much curb coming through 11 and 12, couldn't get the thing wound up by the time they got to the apex of turn number 13, that left-hander that's so crucial. And again, blew past the apex. Turney, as you said, just turned right down and was able to outrun Ryan to the line. So Turney, like you said, back-to-back wins for him. Another podium for Norberg, that third on Saturday, paired with a second in race number 2 on Sunday. Caden McQueen led for a time, David, on not for long, but he did get a chance to go to the lead. The British driver on the Energy Courses American machine ends up coming home in third. Diego Ramos was well back, but fought his way back forward and ended up in fourth. And another top 5 for Colin Lloyd. All told, when you're talking about a guy that's really hasn't run any Pro X30 racing, pretty fantastic debut for that driver.
Yeah, it probably helps to have Austin Garrison under your tent, last year's USPKS champion. So I'm sure they were using a lot of the data back and forth, but you still got to put the wheels in the right position. And Lloyd did that, getting 2 top 5s on the weekend.
Let's move to the Pro Shifter category, brought to you by PSL Karting. And here is the headline: Formal sweeps in Birol Art debut.
Yeah, just a dominating weekend for Mal, who was a late entry to the category, getting a ride with PSL Karting and Burrell Art for the weekend. I'm not quite sure the future for him moving forward, but the weekend was all his. Set fast time in the wet, drying qualifying conditions. It was a dry conditions by the time they got out on the racetrack, a 50.497 to set fast time. Went on to win the pre-final, was just a dominating main event under the lights, because again, we were about 7:30 when these guys hit the racetrack.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it was a very Supernats-esque performance by Formal, going on to pull away by 4.4 seconds over Morgato, who ran solid second for the majority of the race. And you almost had a Burrell Art 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, Gavin Bailiff, running for the new TKG Burrell Art USA operation, was running third till a broken hub going into turn 13 sent him into the wall. Fortunately, not hurt. Tire coming off did not hurt anybody as well too, so that was all a good thing, and got back going the next day. So that promoted Justin White up onto the podium in the Maranello in the third spot. And the Maranellos rounding out the top 5 with Alan Isabard under the Rocket Racing Company entry, and then Vincenzo Serencino in the 5th position.
Yeah, and let's just touch briefly on the broken hub for Bailiff, because I went and looked at it afterwards. And, anybody would hear, hey, yeah, we got a broken hub. It's going to slide off. The bolt broke. The studs in the tire snapped off. This thing literally broke around the circumference right midway through a complete shear. That's something I've ever seen before. And I think we all kind of have the same idea that we've just never seen anything like that before. Crazy.
No, I took a picture of it because, I've not seen that done before. It was a quite unique thing, because you'd think, okay, maybe it slid off, or maybe, like you said, maybe the bolts broke off, but neither. That full half of that hub was still attached to the wheel for good. So that was quite an interesting scenario there.
Moving into Sunday, Danny Formal, again, quickest, actually laid on a new track record. He was pretty pleased with that at 49.718. He rolls into the pre-final, scores the victories there as well. Bailiff actually able to get by and get a pass done on Morgado. So it's Formal and Bailiff on the front row. Still Burrell Arts in the front row. One, of course, the TKG, one PSL. But David, we got rolling into the main event. It was interesting for sure. Danny Formal got the whole shot off the line, but Bailiff kind of did the over-under from left to right. And he actually came out of turn number 2 with the lead.
Yeah, great move. Formal left enough room for a cart to get under him, and Bailiff went for it. Got great grip off the turn 1 turn, and went into turn 2 at the apex first, and came out with a lead. Had a pretty good lead because they were battling for second. I think Justin White actually was up into the second spot by the time they got through the hairpin at the end of the long straightaway. So you had Formal back into 4th, you had Morgado into 3rd, and you had Justin White 2nd, as Bailiff kind of ran away early on. But eventually, as the race progressed, Formal moved his way up into the 2nd spot, Morgado into 3rd. And then Formal quickly ran down Bailiff, got by him. Morgado got by Bailiff as well too, and they would run 1, 2, 3 for a solid outing for Burrell Art.
Yeah, the Maranellos, again, 4th and 5th. Alan Isambard continue to get the car going. They actually started the week on an OTK product, didn't like the way it was handling, moved over to the Maranello, and he talked through numerous interviews on the weekend that they were making a lot of changes to get it where he wanted it to be. It wasn't ideal on Sunday, but it was still pretty solid. He comes home with another 4th place finish, and Justin White, as we said before, rounding out the top 5. All told, Danny Formal sweeping the weekend as Joe Turney did in the Pro X30 category. Again, we'll see whether or not Formal comes out. He wasn't coming. That was the big thing, is he put a post on social media for the first time in 20 years. I'm not going to be at the Scusa Winter Series, that Florida event, but someone comes to the rescue. Tony Martello says, hey, listen, you're coaching my kid all year in USF 2000. I want you at the race. He helped them get there. So we'll see whether or not it happens for rounds 3 and 4. David, listen, with a championship on the line, if the weekend's open, you got to think that Formal's going to figure out a way to get there.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what happens. They got the Roar coming up, a lot of other things as well too. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a far trip. He can easily make his way over. It's just making sure you have the product ready to go to hit the racetrack.
That's it. Back to another commercial break, folks. When we get back, the race report presented by Factory Carts will continue. We'll have a look at KA100 Senior, X30 Junior, and KA100 Junior as well. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment, Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. New to the product lineup is the Stilo Carbon CMR karting helmet. Designed to revolutionize your karting experience, this carbon fiber crafted helmet is among the lightest on the market, without compromising on safety. The Stilo ST5 KRT karting helmet is manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material. The KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The Stilo ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision that is perfect for the youth helmet line. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva rib protector is unlike any other on the market, with a form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. The Carbon Curva 8870 version is FIA homologated and includes a chest protector. Head to stilohelmets.com to review these products and many more to keep you safe on the track. Stilo, any competition, one helmet. Motor mounts. They keep your engine attached to your chassis, right? The answer is, they're much more important than that. Your motor mount is critical in transferring 100% of the power from your engine through to your tires and the racetrack. You need this to get on the podium each and every time you race. Odenthal Racing Products is here for you, providing the best motor mounts on the karting market today, all designed to make sure you're using all the horsepower you pay for. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience in providing products with unmatched quality and value for our racing community. The Pro Series mount for 2-cycle engines, which is available in 0, 5, and 8-degree inclinations, provides a rigid structure to help keep vibration to a minimum without adding too much weight to your setup. The 4-cycle Easy Set system is one of the most popular mounts for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Multiple mounting holes provide the most adjustability depending on your chassis and seat placement. To ensure a tight fit to your chassis, our ORP wedge clamps get the job done, and they feature a number of design updates to provide a lower profile and lighter weight. The clamps are available from 28mm to 32mm in both standard and Euro style sizes. And now, Odenthal has also revolutionized the karting industry with its new Easy GP camera mounting system. Designed to mount anywhere on your chassis with 1 or 2 cameras, the ORP Easy GP camera mount is your solution to capture that onboard winning moment. Head to odenthalracing.com and find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, proudly made in the USA. Welcome back to the first debrief of the 2025 season. Myself, Rob Howden, and David Cole, dialing in the race report from the opening rounds of the Superkarts USA Winter Series that took place this past weekend at the Orlando Kart Center. Factory Karts presenting our race report here today. We'll dive into the KA100 Senior Class presented by AKT Racing Team. And here's the headline: Mossman doubles up in Kart Republic debut.
Yeah, the sold-out KA100 Senior Field put on a great show all weekend long. Multiple drivers in the mix, so that was a fun thing to watch and very tough to kind of figure out who was going to be the driver to beat. It looked to be Kai Hunter setting fast time in the wet conditions under qualifying at 105.086 to put him on the pole position for the pre-final. He went on to lead the entire pre-final distance with a comfortable lead over Frankie Mossman and Jose Carlos Hernandez, the Orsalon driver, who was among the top contenders all weekend at the Super Nationals as well, too. Main event time, however, Hernandez was able to get away from the field. Got just a lot of different drivers trying to take position and nobody working with one another for sure. So Hernandez got out to a big lead, and Mossman eventually got his way into the second spot and then started running down Hernandez by almost 0.2 of a lap at one time. So made quick work of that, got to him about the time of the white flag, And a last lap pass for the lead and the victory was able to put Mossman on top of the podium with his first SKUSA Winter Series victory.
Yeah, really impressive performance from Mossman. I think he knew he was faster, reeled him in, made the pass, got it done, and super happy with that one for sure. Not the margin, not big at the line. They were kind of side by side coming through, but a great pass from Mossman to get that done. Brad Mashman, a former Micro Swift winner at the Super Nationals, he'll be in the USF 2000 program this year as well. He ends up finishing in the third spot. Leonardo Scorpioni worked his way from deep in the field, had to fight forward after struggling in the pre-final, worked his way up to P4. And Seth Nash, David, he was in the middle of the fight essentially all weekend long. The best he could do in terms of all the scrapping that happened on Saturday was come home with a solid top 5 finish.
Yeah, Kai Hunter ended up down in the 15th position as I believe there was contact, or was that the next day?
I know we had contact.
No, actually both days. Actually,
yeah,
it was both days.
I think. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
He came out of the gate strong, though, on Sunday, David. Qualified on pole again. Hunter back-to-back poles. But again, the guy that kind of worked to the front and was making things super exciting. We didn't really talk about him on what he did on Saturday, but on Sunday was Ty Fisher, who really kind of was one of the guys that used the Super Nats as a breakout on the TB kart. Fisher was very quick there, but a debut in the senior category here for 2025. And out there, of course, elbows up, but trying to kind of gain the respect of the drivers around him. He was on the move in a big way. Ended up winning the pre-final, so a really kind of solid introduction to senior racing.
Yeah, it was actually a penalty. Kai Hunter finished 5th on Saturday, and then a penalty dropped him down the order. Okay. And ironically, that was with Ty Fisher.
There you go.
So yes, there is a new rivalry in KA 100 Senior. It is Kai Hunter and Ty Fisher. As you said, Fisher came out and won the pre-final. He looked really strong in what is his senior debut. And looked to be one of the drivers to beat in the main event. You know, they got a bunch of drivers up front again in the main event fighting for the lead. Fisher being one of them, Hunter being one of them. Nash was in the mix. Garzone was in the mix. Those were kind of the drivers that were really fighting for the lead, back and forth. And then you had Mossman. He just kind of sat back there waiting for his opportunity. And that's exactly what happened. He took advantage. There was a 3 wide moment. He went for it with 2 laps to go, basically came out of it as a leader. And then they continued fighting behind him. And that allowed him to escape from the group with the lead and went unchallenged to his second victory, winning by over 2 seconds at the line.
You mentioned Kai Hunter having trouble, and it was coming out of turn number 3. So it's a double right hand 1 and 2, then 3 is the kind of cut back through 4 over to the big sweeping wide 5. We saw a number of drivers, David, go off to the driver's right coming through turn number 3, and it's not very smooth when you go off. It starts bouncing a little bit to the point where we saw a number of drivers, including Kai, almost go over, like forward wise, almost like tip over forward. And then when they come back down, more that happened a couple times. We actually one of the red flag on Saturday was because of this. The minute you come back down, the cart just shoots to the left. And luckily for Kai, there was nobody there, but he kind of went off the track and stopped. And that was the end of his day there for the contact in turn 3.
Yeah, that was on the last lap. It was, again, they along with the fencing, they need to grade that grass area there for sure, because there's a lot of big divots. As you said, there was one on Saturday that did cause a red flag, and that guy was, I want to say, he was almost vertical to the ground before the rear end came back down. It was that high of a jump. There's a good video of it on Kart Chaser during I think one of the stories or something like that. It's quite unique. So Hunter coming in, getting 2 fast time awards in the qualifying, comes out with 0 top 5 finishes.
Yeah, nothing to show for it, right? Ty Fisher coming home in second spot, and that you look at the margin, you realize that Mossman was indeed able to pull away after everybody kind of started fighting for second. It was 2.671 seconds for Mossman out front. Fisher ends up in second, so got a little bit of something to show for a great weekend. Seth Nash, a couple of top 5s. He ends up in third on the podium on Sunday. Sebastian Garzone and Henry Wheeler. Those are 2 drivers, although we didn't talk about them much on Saturday. They came from deep in the field. I want to say Garzone started 40th and finished in 7th or something like that, and maybe even another spot up with the penalties. Yes, got another spot up with the penalties. And then Wheeler was the same thing. He came from deep in the field. This time they didn't have to come from so deep in the field, able to show what they had, and they ended up coming home 4th and 5th.
Yeah, it was a bent up front end. I believe Garzone was actually battling Kai Hunter for the pre-final win. Made contact with one of those apex barriers and bent the front end. So he started back in 40th. Wheeler was right there in the top 5 in the pre-final on Saturday, and then a broken chain took him out of the race. So he had to start way in the back as well. So big, hard chargers for them on Saturday, finishing both in the top 10 and then top 5 on Sunday.
Yeah, pretty impressive runs from all told, coming off the big runs for the back, and then have leveraging much better starting positions on Sunday. Let's go to X30 Junior, presented by Speed Concepts Racing, and here's your headline: Murphy and Palacio gain career firsts.
Yeah, the little guys come out with the victory. They are among the shorter drivers in the field. Murphy into his second season in the junior ranks, while Palacio making his junior debut here in the United States after racing much of the 2024 season in Europe in the mini category. But again, one of those, this is, when you get to the winter program, you see kind of the drivers who were on the cusp of doing well last year, moving up and stepping up. And one of them was Alexander Vanchev, who we saw win at the Rock Vegas event and be very fast at the Super Nationals. He came out with fast time in qualifying at 101.012, one of the last sessions that was in the wet conditions, as they were right before the X30 Pro hit the racetrack. But Vanchev went on to earn the pre-final win till by a sizable lead, and then joined at the front of the field in the main event. So Vanchev unable to kind of get away. As you saw Vanchev lead, you saw Kit Belofsky, sorry. And then Rayan.
Jose Helfin.
Say that again.
Oh, no. I thought you were doing the pre-final.
Gandor. No, so I was talking Gandor. I was talking about different leaders in the main. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought we were in the Vanchev, Kip Belofsky.
I was saying he dominated the pre-final, and then in the main got a large group, and among the different leaders, Vanchev, Belofsky, and Gandor. Yep. Right? How do you say his first name?
I don't know. I'd say we were just saying either Ryan, rather.
Ryan Gandor.
He's from Canada.
Well, then you should know. Damn it!
I've never seen him race before.
I've not seen his name yet either. Yeah. So this was brand new.
The debut runs for Racing Edge Motorsports. Oh no, he was
Rollison
this weekend.
Yeah. So you had Vanchev, Rollison. You had Belofsky on the Energy Corsa Energies entry, and then Gandor and Rollison Performance Group. So you had those guys be among the different leaders that as a lot of shuffling was happening up front. And kind of similar to what we saw with Mossman, Tristan Murphy was just sitting kind of right there waiting for his opportunity. With coming to the white flag, the opportunity arose, got into the lead, going from third to first on that lap, and held everybody off on the last circuit. And it was a great drive. It's you get that year of experience, and now Murphy comes in and takes his first career victory in the X30 Pro or X30 Junior category, winning by just over 0.2 ahead of Augustus Toniolo.
Yeah, good for Murphy, and the confidence and momentum moving forward. He ran a fantastic race. Ryan Gandor, as you said, coming home in third. Belofsky fourth. Vanchev fifth. Vanchev super impressive on the weekend, but not near as much to show for as I think he wanted. Qualifying on pole for both days, and as you'll talk about, David, winning both pre-finals as well. He did a 54.136 in qualifying on Sunday. Of course, full dry qualifying. Ends up winning the pre-final as well over Toniolo and Belofsky, the two RPG drivers. Vanchev and Toniolo working pretty well together. Belofsky right in there again. But things got really, really interesting as well in the final on Sunday.
Yeah, Vanchev and Toniolo worked together. They got away from the field, so it was just those two drivers up front. But probably about 5 laps to go is when they started kind of sizing up one another, making some passes and running a little defensive lines here and there. So this allowed the second group, led by Lucas Palacio, to kind of close back in. And then, boom, we had a big field fighting for the lead here in the closing laps. Vanchev and Toniolo, both under the Rollison Performance Group tent, came out of turn 4 side by side, a little bit of contact. Vanchev was the one who got the worst of it, got a little bit sideways, dropped the wheel into the dirt. This allowed Toniolo to kind of get away from the rest of the group. Didn't really get challenged, got to the checkered flag, was able to cross the line first. Unfortunately, the contact with him and Vanchev became a penalty. That dropped him 5 seconds in his final result, putting him back all the way to the 8th position with the pack all closely together there. That promoted Lucas Palacio in his Kart Republic Junior debut as the winner and ahead of Fion Shi. So a very interesting finish for the X30 Junior field.
Yeah, and Max Weiland ended up capping off the podium as well in third in the Magic Kart USA entry. Vanchev and Belofsky, as David said, fourth and fifth. A lot of the names you talked about in X30 Junior, you're going to talk a little bit about them as well on KA100 Junior. This category brought to you by Orsalon Racing. And it was a solid day for Vanchev on Saturday. Not only did he qualify on the pole for X30, he also did this and win the pre-final. I did the same thing, David, in his pre-final in the KA100 Junior category as well. Let's have a look at the headline. David can fill in all the information. Headline for KA100 Junior: Vanchev and Toniolo give RPG sweep.
Yeah, as you said, Vanchev was able to set fast time in qualifying on Saturday in the KA100 Junior category, a 105.399. They were the first class out on the track for qualifying. And as we talked about by the numbers, this group was split up for pre-finals. So half of the drivers in one, half of the other drivers in the other race. Pre-final B was led by Theo Salam.
We were saying Salameo.
Salameo, yes, that's what I was going to say. It always catches me. It's not a Smith or a Johnson.
No. Right.
Ahead of Augustus Toniolo in the pre-final B, and Vanchev led the way in the pre-final A ahead of Max Weiland and Travis Pettit. Combine the top 22 drivers or finishers in both heat or pre-finals, and then you get the main event where we saw Vanchev and Toniolo kind of break away. So what we saw this on Saturday resulted in X30 Junior on Sunday. So it was a very common theme with Vanchev and Toniolo kind of up front all weekend long. And again, they're fighting late, brought in the second group.
Where have I heard that before?
Yeah, where have I heard that before? But ironically, this was the first one of the weekend. So
yep.
I should have put this one first.
Yeah, they were the trendsetters.
Yeah, it certainly was a trendsetter. So we saw on the last lap, a little bit of contact between Toniolo and Pettit. So it put Pettit off into the wall in turn 5. I believe Toniolo was able to continue on, but outside the top 5. This allowed Vanchev to get away as he drove to the checkered flag, winning by just over 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, 0.737. Vanchev over Salameo. Max Christie up into third. Victor de Alencar, who's kind of in the fight for the majority of the weekend. He was right there. And then Tyrone Kemper Jr., the same thing for Speed Concepts Racing on the CS55. His name was right in the middle of the fight all weekend long as well, coming away with a top 5 finish. David, let's roll into now a dry Sunday with Travis Pettit drawing first blood, 56.266. Quick time in qualifying.
Yes, was able to rebound after that contact put him in the wall at the end of the main event on Saturday. Unfortunately, he did not come out with a pre-final win as Vanchev won the pre-final A once again ahead of Toniolo and Pettit, while Salome was the winner in the pre-final B ahead of Max Christia and Tyrone Kemper Jr. So very familiar names, again, at the front of the field on Sunday. Salameo took the lead early on before Toniolo was able to grab the top spot by lap 5. Alexander Vanchev became the top challenger until he kind of got shuffled back down the order, and eventually Max Christia moved himself up into the second spot. Unfortunately, on lap 15, the red flag came out for an incident in turn 5 involving Emerson Laney. I believe that's who it was. Did a inverted move, getting launched and going completely over. The cart was on top of him for a moment as the photographers and corner workers were able to get him off. Wasn't quite able to jump right up and get off the racetrack, so they did pull out the red flag. Fortunately, he was able to walk away with no major issues. So they did call the race, though, going only 14 completed laps, and that awarded Augustus Toniolo the victory over Max Christia.
And let's just say that Emerson Lane did end up with an ice cream cone about 10 minutes after the incident. So he was all right, which was good to hear.
Yes.
Just for anybody, if anybody's listening. Tony Olo with the win by 0.6 of a second over Cristea. They have, of course, go back a lap. Salameo ends up in third. Pettit and Weiland once again headed up into fourth. This time able to literally get to the red flag, I guess, and Max Weiland. Another top 5 all told. Well, there you go. Another couple of categories done. Another break in the action. When we get back here with the race report presented by Factory Carts, our next group will be the KA100 Master Shifter, Mini Swift, and Micro. We'll cap it all off this next session. Made in the USA. That's exactly what you get from Precision Karting Technologies. Based in Detroit, Michigan, PKT brings over 35 years of manufacturing experience to the sport of karting. Their passion for the sport began focusing around the Kid Kart platform and has expanded every year with hundreds of products designed to put you on the podium. Precision Karting Technologies is known around North America for their successful line of axles, available in all age groups. PKT manufactures a number of engine products for Comer, IAME, Rock, Rotax, and the popular Briggs & Stratton 206. A wide variety of chassis components for the many brands in the sport are available through PKT, including hubs, pedal risers, skid plates, and other hardware for your kart. Axle straightening, chassis adjustments, engine service, and specific CNC machining projects are available through their Motor City headquarters. To learn more about the many products and services available from Precision Karting Technologies, head to pktaxles.com. Winning takes top quality equipment, flawless preparation, experienced coaching, and passion. And at Team GFC, we live our passion. Developed by American karting champion Gary Carlton, the GFC chassis has become one of the newest brands to reach the top of the podium in North America. GFC has garnered victories and championships at all levels of the sport since its debut at the end of 2018. Shifter kart drivers are at the front of the field in the GT14 frame, with the SS31 a consistent contender in tag and 100cc competition. Team GFC has Arrive and Drive packages available for all categories, including the mini and micro classes utilizing the GFC RR5 cadet chassis. These young pilots have the opportunity to be part of the Team GFC Young Driver Development Program. Learn from one of the best American karters with 28 years racing at the highest levels in the sport, offering personalized training on and off the track. Follow GFC Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or click over to gfckarting.com to learn more about joining Team GFC. GFC, live your passion. Back to Green Flag here on the debrief for episode number 141 as we're breaking down the opening rounds of the Superkarts USA Winter Series for 2025. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. Thanks for tuning in here to the podcast or the EKN Radio Network. Continuing with the race report brought to you by Factory Carts. We'll go into KA100 Master presented by AM Racing. Talked about the fact that we had 15 drivers in total. Here's the headline. Crivelli doubles up in Orlando.
Yeah, it was a clean sweep for the Inter MS driver on the Tony Kart, leading every session on the weekend. Began with a 57.834 in qualifying to lead the way, taking the pre-final win ahead of Trans Am champion, and Indy Lights champion, Atlantics champion, Star Mazda champion, probably a champion father, I believe he is, just a champion all around. Rafael Matos, a great character and a great driver, finishing second ahead of Nicky Coelho, the USPKS champion. So a very stout top three going into the main event. But Crivelli was just super fast on the day, especially on Saturday, going wire to wire for nearly an 8-second victory ahead of Coelho.
Yeah, Coelho ended up, did not qualify well. Qualified seventh, had to work his way up to third in the pre-final, and was right in the middle of the fight. There's pretty much four drivers in total, I think, that were in that lead group. Crivelli, Coelho, Matos, and Miguel Mir, the multi-time Texas champion. Coelho ends up with the second spot on the Merlin for Franklin Motorsports, 7.8 seconds back. Rafael Matos in third. Scott Carapoletti had a fantastic drive. He has good pace all weekend long. The veteran driver coming home in the 4th spot ahead of Miguel Mir. Wire-to-wire win for Crivelli, who not only runs for Inter MS, but is also the engine builder for Inter MS as well. So definitely getting out there and driving his own product to the front. David did the same thing on Sunday, qualifying on the pole with a 56.554. He did have to battle a little bit of time. Rafael Matos actually had himself up front sometime during on Sunday.
Yeah, he picked up the pace, got used to it. That's one thing I noticed. Matos is more of a shifter kart driver. It looked like he was trying to drive it like a shifter kart. So, so certainly found some speed on Sunday, led a little bit in the pre-final till Crivelli was able to take the win ahead of Matos and Mir. And then Matos and Crivelli were able to break away from the pack, from the field in the main event. But with Matos out front, as Crivelli kind of used him, it was very like a Daytona. Let's just push away and get away from each other. And Crivelli waited till the last lap to be able to make the move for the top spot, taking over the lead and the victory, beating Matos to the line by 1.3 seconds with, I think it was a little bit of a mix-up by Matos in the hairpin that cost him all that to get that gap to the checkered flag.
Yeah, exactly that. Miguel Mir finished in the 3rd spot on the podium for the first time on the weekend, finishes P3. Something that with Nicky Coelho in the pre-final. I can't remember. He ended up finishing last.
A spark plug, which is a very common theme on the weekend.
A bunch of drivers had trouble with the spark plug or the washer, whatever it was.
Yeah, washer, correct.
Was it washer? Yeah, there you go. So Coelho ends up coming from the back of the field, 15th. I thought he might be able to get the challenge a little earlier, but he took his time coming forward. Eventually got to Paul Elefante and found a way by him to go 4th. Elefante was 5th. Coelho was not in any position to kind of reel in Mir, but nonetheless, Coelho finishing in 4th. A great run for Paul Elefante on the LN kart, rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, good. One real quick, just looking at it, I just noticed this. It was only 0.04 of a second that Coelho's fast time was off Crivelli. So
yeah, the pace was there.
Pace was there for sure.
100%. Yeah, no doubt about that. Master
Even
Shifter
with the stock washer.
Wow. Master Shifter presented by Velocity Racing by Sodi USA. Here is the headline. Defending champ Barnes continues streak.
Yeah, Sketchy Barnes came in last year winning all 4 main events and has done so with the first 2 to start off the 2025 season. A field of 5 on Saturday as Barnes set a 52.727 in qualifying to lead the way. Led every lap in the pre-final, fighting with a lot of the drivers at the back of the pro shifter field, beating out Rene Martinelli and Luis Quinones for the pre-final win. Main event under the lights for these guys. Barnes was able to get away from the group. Martinelli had an issue. He retired early. That left Quinones as the top driver to challenge Barnes. And it wasn't until late in the race where Barnes said he had a little bit of an issue with the cart and it allowed Quinones to close in a little bit at the end, but still Barnes was able to reach the checkered flag by 0.8 of a second for what is his 5th straight. Let me look at that. I think it's 5 straight if you count the 4 from last year. I think it's 5 straight. Let's go back even more.
I was going to say, you're going to go back to 2020.
So we're going to have to go 7 straight going back to 2023. Won the series finale that year. Actually won 3 of the 4, but Daniel DeBose won round 3. So he's got 7 straight.
Wow.
At the SCUSA Winter Series.
So there's a
when we
challenge.
get into tomorrow.
Yeah, but let's not throw out the guys to 3rd, 4th.
Yeah, no, I was just saying. Yeah,
Tyler Gilboa made his debut, his return rather to national racing for DRT Racing on the DRT kart. Tyler ended up finishing 3rd. Farshad Bagari in the TB kart 4th, and as you said, Rene Martinelli did not finish the race there. And one little note: Scott Barnes actually did not make practice on Friday. Ended up rolling on track for the first time on Saturday morning.
Yeah, he had a dog pass away on Thursday, so he was going to cancel. Canceled Friday morning, and then later in the day called back, was like, no, I'm going to come. Yeah. And so ended up coming Saturday morning to compete. Unfortunately, only 2 drivers competed on Sunday, with Barnes leading the way over Gilboa all day long for another round sweep for the Bermuda driver.
So there's a challenge for all Master Shifter drivers out there. Scott Barnes rolling in here with a 7-race win streak. See if you can come down and knock him off the top of the box when we head back to Orlando in the first week of February. Let's go now and cap things off in terms of the race report with our cadet categories. Mini Swift presented by Bennett Kart. Here's the headline. Fernandez and Nachawati split wins on the weekend.
Yeah, two drivers picking up their first SCUSA Winter Series victories in the Mini Swift category, but we thought it was going to be Zane Burgess, the Micro Swift champion from last year, coming up to the Mini Swift for his class debut. Also coming off the news of him signing with Andretti Global Driver Development Program for his future. So a lot of news surrounding Burgess as he set fast time in qualifying, a 1 minute 0.016 before going on to win the pre-final. These guys were 7th in the order, so their race in the main event was actually under the lights. So they got to get a little night racing, where I was a little scared because some of the guys in the back still had on their dark visors. So luckily we didn't have any major issues with that. But up front, it was a pretty good fight. Burgess was among the leaders along with Nakawati. Eventually, however, Fernandez was able to go from 4th to 1st on the last lap. A good little battle between these guys. And the Super Nationals winner, Benji Fernandez, coming through, scoring the victory, beating out Burgess at the line by 89 thousandths of a second.
Let's remember, this is the Fernandez and Burgess are both of the cadet Super Nationals winners, right? Fernandez won in mini, Burgess winning in the micro category. So it's like the establishment versus the young gun coming in. When Burgess, Royce Vega, last year's Winter Series champion in the Mini Swift category, was in the fight all weekend long. He ends up 3rd on Saturday. Luca Becquerel in the Tony Kart finished 4th. Win Godshock rounding out the top 5. When they rolled back into qualifying on Sunday, Burgess does it again, a 59.783. Does it again in the pre-final. David, out of the gate, pretty strong for Zane Burgess. He wins the pre-final over Colton Schniegenberg, who was a lot better on Sunday. Santiago Orioli 3rd to start on the inside of row 2 for what was then a cut 16-lap main event. SCUSA dropping 2 laps off the main events to try to make sure they were able to stay with the schedule. Those 16 and 18 lappers were perfect for the time window they had set out on the schedule.
Yeah, certainly helped get things done on Sunday with the revised lap count for each category. And this was a good fight. You had Burgess up front, as you said, Schniegenberg, you had Orioli, add in Maxwell Macha as well, too. And these guys were kind of going back and forth. But the story was kind of watching Nakawati coming up through the field. He had a disqualification in qualifying for losing an onboard camera, got up into the 18th position at the end of the pre-final, and eventually got up into the top 5 and was kind of right there as the race was coming to a close. As they were kind of battling, I don't remember exactly what happened, but Nakawati got himself up into 2nd eventually by the time they got to the white flag. But I did see a great move by him. Burgess left enough space for him to get inside at the pit lane sweeper. I think that's my favorite turn because
turn 7. Yeah.
It's kind of just a flat out corner setting up for the S's and then another hairpin. It's a really good section. And if you leave the door open, you kind of get put out into the marbles a little bit.
You do.
And Burgess left enough room for Nakawati to kind of get into the inside, get to the apex first, and that was the winning move. Nakawati was able to hold off the rest of the field, going on to secure his first Winter Series victory.
And David, it was close at the line. Maxwell Macha actually comes in 2nd, but what happens?
No. Yeah, another disqualification for a spark plug. Yeah. So
they were looking for that. That's for
yes,
sure.
That is something that was an emphasis in tech this weekend.
Colton Schniegenberg ends up in the 2nd spot. Orioli 3rd, Godshock 4th, and Ashton Wyatt rounds out the top 5. What happened to
Aston Wyatt? Yep.
I said Aston. Oh, I said Ashton.
Yeah.
Is it Aston?
Aston.
What happened to Burgess? I can't remember.
Burgess, I believe, received a penalty. Let me double check that. Because he got shuffled out. Actually finished 6th because I think he got shuffled out when he made the move. Everybody went with Nakawati, and so kind of left him.
And you mentioned it, the outside line there, tons of marbles.
I want to say he fell back to fourth by the time they got to the first hairpin there, and then down the straightaway. And then I think he lost a couple more positions after that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So bottom line is Liam Nachawati, impressive on the Kart Republic. What we didn't kind of mention with some of these Kart Republic wins, Frankie Mossman being one of them as well, Joe Turney. Now, this year, David, all under the Jay Howard driver development tent. We didn't mention that earlier, the Jay Howard, who has a program in the USF Pro Championships, his son Hudson running karting as well. It's kind of has reestablished Jay Howard driver development as a karting program, and it's kind of picked up the flag as the official, I assume, American Works team for Kart Republic. So a number of drivers, I'm not sure if that Nachawati's with them, but I know that
Mossman,
right?
Nakawati is, but Fernandez Royce is under the SLA racing team. SLA so kart. There is still a couple of Kart Republic operations outside of the Jay Howard operation.
So there you go. Good call. Let's move into the Micro Swift category now. We'll wrap up our race report. Micro Swift presented by Energy Course Americas. And here's the headline. Flores and Westbrook take home career first wins.
The Micro Swift is the category we were going to see some new names kind of move to the front, with a lot of those drivers graduating up to the Mini Swift category. Among them, Isaac
Carvalho
taking fast time in a wet session qualifying, a 1:09.016 to set fast time. But the field shuffled up in the dry conditions for the pre-final, as Flores was able to move up into the top spot ahead of Lennox Lockhart, with Mason Brody in the third position. But Marcelo Flores was able to break away in the main event, out all by himself until Lennox Lockhart was able to kind of run him down. So we saw a great little run for Lockhart, able to catch Flores, take over the lead before the white flag. Unfortunately for Lockhart, he left the door open for Flores to take the spot or take the apex in turn 13. And that was the winning move at the end of the race on the last lap in the last corner, as Flores was able to reach the checkered flag first by 0.2 of a second over Lockhart.
Yeah, Hudson Howard, I just mentioned him. He had a good run throughout the weekend, ended up in third. Alvaro Medeiros was fourth, and Zev Godchuk rounding out the top five. Lockhart, as you said, coming home in second in the pre-final, second in the main. Turned things around a little bit at the start of Sunday. David qualified on the pole with a 60.989 in the dry session, of course. Wins the pre-final over Flores and Leo Simoni. And then things got really interesting in the main event. Leo Simoni, who was third, ended up leading the way early in the main event.
Yeah, he led. Westbrook got back up to the lead. Flores took a turn at the top spot. And so it was a good little shuffle at the front of the field with this group. Flores actually ended up leading at the white flag, made their way into, I want to say it was turn 13, not quite sure, but there was a good over under. Yes, it was turn 13 coming to the checker flag. There was a good over under by Dutch Westbrook, who was up there. Yeah, it was 13. I'm trying to remember this race. Hold on.
I'm trying to go through it again. I'm getting old.
Oh, yes. That's what happened. Yes, because Flores actually was on the outside. So as they made their way through the kink, Flores on the outside, Westbrook was on the inside. So Dutch Westbrook, who won, was outside the top five, made his way up into there, was second as they came to the last corner, got the over-under on Flores. Flores was on the outside. Westbrook was on the inside. They made their way through the kink, and that's when Lennox Lockhart was trying to make it three wide. So I think Westbrook kind of jotted to the left a little bit. That made a little bit of contact with Flores. That sent Flores off into the grass and into the wall as they made their way down the straightaway. Flores went on to make a lot of contact with the wall, eventually spinning backwards, probably about 20 feet short of the line. And that's where Westbrook was able to cross the line first alongside Lockhart, beating him by 27 thousandths of a second for the victory.
Yeah, I remember now. Flores was on the outside of the kink, making it three wide, and just wasn't quite enough up there, I think, for Lockhart to see that he was there. Light contact, ended up spinning, like you said, and Westbrook ends up coming away with it. Lockhart ends up in second. Brody Stoffel rounds out the podium in third. Mauro Nario was fourth, and Danny O'Gara capping off the top five. So there you have it. There is your look at the race report, going through all the categories that we're on track to start off this year's Superkarts USA Winter Series. One more break when we get back. We'll look at the Constructors' Championship. We'll wrap it all up. And, of course, as always, cap off the show with the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar. Is IndyCar your dream? If it is, for 2024 and beyond, the path from karting to IndyCar has gotten even clearer. It's time to look into the new USF Juniors program and the Tatis JR23. As a first step of the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tires, the USF Junior Series will feature a 6-event, 13-race schedule to train racers for the move into the USF 2000 Championship presented by Continental Tires. 3 of the events in 2024 will run alongside IndyCar at Mid-Ohio, Road America, and Portland. The champion will win a scholarship worth over $263,000, and there's a total prize fund that will exceed $330,000. The series utilizes the state-of-the-art Tatis JR23 race car, which is a development version of the USF 22 used in USF 2000. It's the ideal entry point for career-minded karters moving into the car racing ladder. Safety is always front and center in the minds of the series promoters, and the new USF Juniors car also features the Halo, and races are supported by members of the AMR IndyCar safety team. If IndyCar is your goal, USF Juniors is the starting line. For more information, visit www.usfjuniors.com and follow USF Juniors on social media. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. We offer trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group is an official Kart Republic race team, providing full trackside support at all the major USA karting events, including the SCUSA Pro Tour, United States Pro Kart Series, the SCUSA Super Nationals, and other events throughout the season. TKG has Kart Republic, IAME, MG Novinco tires, and more products in stock for those in Ohio and the Midwest region. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. All right, David Cole, let's wrap things up for this edition of the Debrief. Again, my name is Rob Howland. This is episode number 141, capping off our coverage of the opening rounds of the Superkarts USA Winter Series, starting off the 2025 season at the Orlando Kart Center on the January 10th to 12th weekend. Dave, let's look at the Constructors' Championship. 6 different brands splitting the 18 victories.
Yeah, as you talked about, the Jay Howard Driver Development Program taking over the Kart Republic Works team here in the U.S. Among the 8 victories that the Kart Republic brand was able to pick up on the weekend, as we said, the SLA racing team also picking up a win on the Kart Republic brand, but a lot of wins for that the Dino Chiesi brand. Kind of shocked because, again, you go from 2024 where you got Trinity Karting Group running the team, and other teams under the brand, and then kind of a quick switch, and boom, the success is still there. Again, you got drivers like Joe Turney and Frankie Mossman picking up 2 each, so that certainly does help you in the long run.
Yeah, obviously Mossman moving over from Speed Concepts to run with the Jay Howard crew, who he will run USF Pro 2000 with this year, so staying with his car team. So there's just 4 wins right there, right? They swept the senior single speeds. They swept KA and X30, and of course, as we saw, did extremely well on Mini Again, Kart Republic getting a victory in micro as well. Dave, Barrel Art with a couple of victories, Cosmic with 2, Marinello with 2, and Bennick with 1.
Yeah. So a good. Again, we had drivers double up. You had Crivelli pick up 2 wins. You had Formal pick up 2 wins for Burrell Art, and Skitchy Barnes picking up 2 wins for Marinello. So let's see if we can kind of spread that out a little bit more. I like it when we have 7 or 8 rather than the 6.
Yeah, we'll get another chance to do it, of course, when we get to back to Orlando in the first week of February. Let's wrap things up, David. A couple of red flags on the weekend, one each day. Thankfully, both drivers were able to walk away. Yes,
that's what you want to see. I mean, we'd prefer not to see any red flags, but had to take precautions. The one in Pro X30 in the pre-final, that was a pretty hard hit. You could tell by just looking at the cart, it was hard. But thankfully both drivers were able to walk away. And then same on Sunday as well too, where the cart was literally inverted, and a great photo by Todd McCall. It's funny. I just told Todd to go take a shot in this area because you can get the Orlando Kart Center sign in the background. And so that same lap, he's taking photos, and then the red flag happens. So I take credit for that one.
Of course you do. Why would you? Yeah.
But yeah, cooler weather in Orlando compared to Miami. So that's something we'll have to get used to. I got to think, though, February is going to be a little bit warmer just because of the time of the year.
I feel like it was unseasonably cold as well. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that it's supposed to be that. Normally I think people in Florida are used to 65. It just seemed like those 40-degree mornings may just have been kind of associated with the kind of the deep freeze coming through the entire Midwest as well.
Yeah, because you think February, you think Florida, you think Daytona 500.
Spring break.
You don't typically see those guys, wearing winter coats. So
that's exactly
we should be all right.
As I mentioned from the get-go, this was the largest non-Super Nationals event in Superkarts USA history at 316 entries. Again, looking forward to hopefully getting a solid turnout as well to cap off the series when we wrap things up in the first week of February. Jumping now into the EKN Trackside Live race calendar today, presented by Rawlson Performance Group. At the Rawlson Performance Group, we strive for ultimate success. We're more than just an arrive and drive race team with countless wins on the national and regional level. Our focus is on complete driver development, and that's where the success is fueled. We combine one-on-one coaching, on-track instruction, and intensive data debriefing with unparalleled kart and engine prep. Our program will help you raise your game. We'll take you to the next level. If that's your goal, RPG needs to be your next move. Experience the Rawlson difference. All right, David, you and I are both at home for a couple of weekends, which is nice. Then we go back to back at the end of January and start of February. First things first, you and I head west. We're going to the state of Arizona, to Tucson, to Musselman Honda Circuit for the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas. That event, January 31st to February 2nd, and everything we're hearing, it's going to be a pretty darn good weekend.
We're not going for the Gem Show?
Oh, damn, that's right, the Gem Show.
If you get a hotel in Tucson, Arizona around that time, you understand Gem Show. Anyway, yeah, very looking forward to getting the 18th season of the Challenge of the Americas going there. This will be what I can't even count right now. We started in 2012. We're playing that on the EKN radio right now. EKN Radio Network right now, our 2012 visit to Tucson, Arizona for Challenge of the Americas. Our first
15th then, right? 14th? Nice.
Trackside live 15th. Event with them. Yeah, it's been a long one. We are part of the family. I guess it's been long enough. We're almost officially married, or what is that? When you live long enough together?
Common law?
Yeah, we're common law married to Challenge of the Americas.
Common law family.
Yeah,
yeah. Looking forward to that one too. Of course, Challenge of the Americas. It's a big year for them, expanding to 4 events. First one not happening again until essentially the last week of January, 1st of February. So that pushes things down. We're actually wrapping the season up, not at Sonoma in March or April as we have in the past, but right into June up in Utah. So looking forward to that, David. That series challenge expanding to 4 different events. They're bringing in the new Shinko kart tires as well. So big news there. But really with the 4th event and kind of rolling up going north, or essentially north on the west side up to Utah, it's become the de facto, national series or major series for the West Coast.
It is the headline series for the western half of the country. When you look at it, you look at the western time zone, you look at the mountain time zone, you could even get into the central time zone drivers and teams can make their way to be part of the challenge. So
yeah, perfect. It's going to be big. I'm looking forward to it. After that, Dave, we head right back. We're going to be home for what? I'm actually going to go skiing for a couple of days. You're going to come home for a couple of days. And then we head back to Florida. SCUSA Winter Series will cap things off February 7th, 8th, and 9th back at the Orlando Kart Center. Everything's at the Orlando Kart Center on the West Coast, or the East Coast, rather, for 6 weeks. So we'll be back there for the SCUSA Winter Series on February 7th to 9th. Looking forward to capping it all up. And if this past weekend was any indication, the racing is going to be tremendous. Championships will be on the line. I would expect we're going to see a couple potentially new names, especially in the shifter kart ranks. I wouldn't be surprised to think that, we're only a couple months away from the start of the Pro Tour. I know there's drivers who are going to want to finally get rolling. There was a number of top drivers who weren't at the opening round. I think you're going to see a bunch of drivers, even though Orlando's not the home to the Winter Nationals this year. I still think that you're going to see some drivers who are going to want to show up and get things underway in February.
Yeah, it could be the one race that to help jumpstart the season, because we do have the Winter Nationals coming in March. That is in a different facility at the Speed Sports Racing Park in Texas, but it is good to kind of shake off the rust. You look at Pro Shifter. I think Morgado's kind of shaking off the rust. He coming off the heartbreaking Super Nationals. Coming into Orlando, it's kind of very similar to what we saw last year. We saw Formal double up in wins on the opening weekend, so maybe Morgado's going to come back and be the driver to beat in February.
Well, AJ Myers was trackside, but he wasn't racing, right? He was working with the Magic Kart guys. Does he need that one event before he goes to the Winter Nationals? Right?
I don't know about AJ Myers, but I would say those. Trying to be AJ Myers could be, yes.
Well, listen, here's some of the East Coast guys we didn't see. We didn't see Talon Yockel, right? He wasn't out there. We didn't see Michael Riccio. We're going to see some of the guys, I think, potentially that didn't run come out, kind of shake off, like we said, shake out the cobwebs and get back at it. Because if you're anywhere in the kind of the northern states and you're planning on going to the Winter Nationals, that race gets underway before you guys are doing anything back up north. So you got to come south if you're going to or run something, right? So we'll see. I think it'll be interesting.
That's the idea. It's just a matter of people going through with it.
That's true. All right, folks, that wraps things up. Episode number 141 of the EKN Debrief. We're capped with that one there. I want to say a big thank you to Parolin USA for being the sponsors of the broadcast, this particular podcast. And that wraps things up. As I said, we are underway for 2025, the Superkarts USA Winter Series. It's 8th edition underway again. February 7th, 8th, and 9th. We'll cap it off with rounds 3 and 4. From there, everybody looking forward to the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals at Speed Sports Racing Park at the end of March. Again, we thank you for being with us here as we start our 2025 debrief season, the trackside season. Again, Challenge of the Americas up next, followed by the SCUSA Winter Series finale. Thanks again for tuning in. My name's Rob Howard on behalf of David Cole. Bye for now.